y'all, I'm Emily, the Shady Grove Stitcher, and I love creating beautiful hand-stitched pieces. Welcome to the Pink Room, where I share my love of cross-stitch by showcasing projects I've completed in my quest to fill an antique cabinet my husband and I inherited from my in-laws.
Hey guys, welcome to Flosstube episode 16. Appreciate you joining me here in the Pink Room today. Typically when we're meeting, I'm telling you about a particular piece we're going to look at. If you're new here, I tend to do one piece, a fully finished piece every week, every 2 weeks, whenever I come. Whenever I come is when I show it to you. And this episode is going to be just a little bit different. It's going to be kind of like stitching adjacent, because I posted on Instagram earlier this week or maybe last week about digitizing my patterns, and I got a ton of feedback on it. So today I just thought I would talk to you about a couple of different things. I'm going to share with you a few things that are improving my stitchy life. I'm going to unbox Chantelle's 141, just did a finishing school, I don't think that's what it's called, but it's a finishing school box teaching you how to finish things. I got the box, so I thought I would unbox it just to kind of, if you've never purchased from Chantelle, if you don't, you can't get the box now, it was a pre-order deal. But just if you're interested in kind of what she gives as a, or what she offers in her boxes, this will be the second one that I've gotten from her. And so I just wanted to kind of expose you to it in case that's something you're interested in. And then I'm also going to talk to you about digitizing your patterns and then how to use those on your iPad. I don't use any special apps. I'll talk to you all about it. But as always, I include chapters down below. So if there's a particular segment you're not interested in, just feel free to skip ahead, fast forward. It's not gonna hurt my feelings. I won't even know that you did it. It's totally fine. So let's get started. I wanted to follow up on these goggles. So I shared in a previous hi, hello. You wanna talk to your little internet friends? Well, you're gonna fall. Newton hasn't mastered the lap yet, bless his heart. I had talked about some goggles, magnifying glasses, whatever before, and I was using ones that like rested on your nose, just like regular glasses rest on your nose. And mine died. It was my second pair and they died. So I got these, and I will put these on for you so that you can see the ridiculousness. They're a headband. They slip on your head, right? And then, you know, this can move up and down. So I've been using these. They're very comfortable. They come, I think this little doodad is up to 3.5x. I've got multiple levels of brightness here. That's not what I'm talking to you about. I'm talking to you about this feature, okay? I understand that I look ridiculous, but let me tell you the beauty of this, okay? When you are stitching, when you are sitting on the couch stitching, you can look over. So you have your stitching here, you're looking down, because that's what we do, we look down, right? And this will sit in place. You can lock it in place with this little knob so it doesn't flop around. I'm just letting it fall down so I can see you. You have your stitching, you can see your stitching, your light is on, blah, blah, blah. You can look over the top of this at your television, okay? I have been stitching it like this, and I have been trying to see through these tiny holes up here. That's not the way to do it, friends at home. That's a terrible, terrible path. And I've been stitching a lot at night, mostly things that are fill-in because I don't have to think about it. I'm out of brain power at the end of the day. And I don't know why, when I had been stitching, I kept lifting this up, burp, 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 burp. And that was fine. And then it just kind of occurred to me one night, I'm like, I wonder if I tip it really far down, if maybe then I can see over the top, and I can, and I love them even more now. So I just wanted to sort of like circle back on that. If you were looking for some lighted magnifiers that are inexpensive, I think these were $20. They may have been $25, so I know they weren't more than $30. I got them on Amazon. I will link them below. Please, pretty please, look in the description box for the link. But I really, really like them. I think that they're delightful. So at the time, I didn't really know a lot about them, but since I knew a little bit more now, I wanted to let you guys know that they are turning out to be a big win in my life. So that's item number one. The other thing that is improving my stitchy life is strips of fabric. So my friend Lisa, L Snaps, I noticed, so she uses a Q-snap, and I noticed on her Q-snap that she was putting shelf paper liner, like the rubber nubby kind. She would wrap, I don't have a Q-snap that's not in use, I'm so sorry. She would wrap her fabric around the Q-snap just like normal, but before she would clamp the top clamp on, she would put shelf paper liner. And I was like, oh, Lisa, what's up with this? And she had said that she does it because it helps to hold the fabric more secure and it protects her fabric. And I was like, protects your fabric? I was thinking about it because I don't like to clamp my stitches. But she told me that she's put her clamps on before and it has pulled her linen. That had never been a scenario in my life, but lo and behold, not long thereafter, I clamped it and it pulled my linen. Now, it was on a part that's going to be worked into the fully finished piece. It's not a big deal, but I was like, oh, if that had been in the middle of my piece, I would have been hot. So this is really weird. This is outdoor fabric and I don't think you can see it. It's okay. It's textured on this side and it's felt on this side. And so I just cut some strips. I have some long strips and I have some short strips, and I like it because it's heavier. It's like a canvas or a duck weight. But I like that it has and I'm not saying go out and buy something that has fleece on the back. I'm telling you, this is what I had and I liked it. I like that it has the fleece on the back. So I put the fleece against my stitches and I clamp everything over it. I have noticed when I clamp over my stitches, it does not flatten my stitches at all. And I haven't had any pulls. So I know that we're always coming up with like ways we can improve our stitching, ways to make things easier. And I'm glad that I took the time to make these small little scraps just so that I would have them I cut these 2.5 inches wide by varying lengths, right? And because that's how big it takes for me to wrap it around my frame and the clamp go on and there not be an issue. That's how I arrived at that width. The length is just variable. But I noticed that I am more apt to use them because I have them and they're readily available. Previously, if I needed to clamp over stitches, I would go get like a piece of muslin or something, but I wasn't super reliable about it because I didn't want to use a super cute piece of fabric and I didn't really want to go through my scrap bin, and was this scrap big enough that I might use it in the future, and I don't want to ruin it by using it in a clamp. And so I had this kind of deco weight outdoor fabric. I made these little clamp doobie jobbies. I think it's awesome. So if you're on the fence about it, I highly recommend it. The end. Hi, what are you doing? Newton is very into laps, so we try to accommodate this lap thing, but very nice fellow, a lot of lap. Okay, let's move on to the box. Say goodbye to your little internet friends, okay? You gotta get down. Oh, okie doke. I have already opened it so you didn't have to listen to tape, but here's what we look like inside, all right? So it's nicely packed. It didn't rustle around. I am gonna put it down on the floor and then lift out this jumbo bag. Oh, 2 jumbo bags. And a folder. This is real time, people. I didn't peep ahead, so I have no idea what's going on here. So in the very bottom, there is this folder. And it says the finishing touch. I keep calling it finishing school. And it just talks about, I assume, I don't know. It talks about, what we're doing. Step by step, how things go. I know that there are videos. She has several different finishes. And so this just is kind of talking through the different finish types. I know I'm a little out of screen. Sorry about that. And then this is the pattern. So I love everything Kathy does, and she did the one pattern that can be finished 3 different ways. This was also a big draw to the box for me. I mean, I don't really know why, because the list of things I have to stitch is long, but you only live once, right? Pattern collecting is its own hobby in and of itself. So she has multiples of these bags, and I know a lot of people use them. If you're not familiar with them, they are document storage bags. You can get them on Amazon. They are fabulous if you need some inexpensive project bags. Where'd you go? Oh, he's on my feet. And then these are the wood pieces that we are going to be learning the finishing techniques on. So if you didn't read about the box, it was a pre-order, and basically she's going to send us the pattern. There's going to be a stitch along in September. And then she sent us some wood pieces. I'm going to hold those up for you. And then she's going to teach us how to paint the wood pieces, because you all know she does all sorts of neat paint techniques. I really want to get better at finishing. I have no idea what in the HE double hockey sticks I'm doing. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to learn. I love Chantelle. I love Kathy. Here we are. I probably should have said all that in the beginning. I'm very sorry. So they sent 3 different items. Number 1, this is the mini paddle. If you've done, Kathy has several folk series, autumn folk, spring folk, blah, blah, blah. I don't have them. I don't know. The big folk pattern has a paddle. The big folk paddle has a pattern on it. This does not, but this is the finishing item number 1. Then there is this other thingy. Don't know what it's called. Don't know what it's called. Don't know what we're going to do with it. And then this is a 2-part doohickey, and my understanding from what she has said on the line is there's sort of this shiplap piece in the back that you paint, and then you finish your piece on this board and you mount this to the center of the shiplap duper jobber. So there's that. And then finally, there is this giganto bag of goodies, okay? There's a lot packed in here. This is supposed to be everything that you need for the course. The course is not, it's not live. It's all recorded, so you can do it at your own time, whatever is convenient for you. Oh my God, this is packed so well. So there are, let me just get all these out so I can show them to you. There are a ton of these little pots, and I'm not going to open them, but I guess these are our different paint colors, individual pots. Maybe there's some white swan. It says it's white swan. This is prairie gray. So I believe these are the chalk paints that she sells in her shop, but then there is a clear coat and a weathered wood something here. That's pretty cool. Then she's got this little bag of goodies, right? So this bag of goodies has a little spongy doodad, a roller, some other pots of finishing goodness, brushes. There's more in the back, more dry brushes. So I don't know what any of this is, and I don't know what any of this does, because like I said, I didn't pre-unbox. I don't know what we're doing with our lives. I just know I wanted to learn to finish, and I think Chantelle does a really great job of putting together complete packages, and I thought that maybe you guys would want to see the type of things that she ships. This is it, an exclusive pattern plus all the things. Now, as a part of this box, I am supposed to supply my own linen and my own DMC. They made that information available at the time of purchase. So this entire time, I think you had until the end of July to purchase. And I think I had 4 or 6 weeks to buy it. It didn't. I'm going to use something for my stash. But it just, the girls do a really great job of planning ahead and making sure you're prepared. So they don't know me. They don't care about me. They didn't send this to me. I just wanted to let you guys know if you're on the fence about getting a box, getting involved. I think that Chantelle's boxes are really great boxes to get. And then the last part of today, I'm a little afraid. I'm a little afraid of talking to you about this. Okay, I'm just going to be honest. So the number of people that reached out to me to talk about digitizing their patterns, I think you guys are probably looking for a tutorial. You're looking for a step-by-step, how do I do it? And that's going to be really difficult because you probably don't use the same software I use. You probably don't have the same scanner I have. all those things. So I don't know that I can really put together a step-by-step tutorial for you. However, I can talk to you about what I was using, what wasn't working for me, why I decided to do this, what I looked at to see if it would work for me, and kind of where I landed to at least give you ideas. So maybe you'll look at it and be like, oh, I can't do this, but I could do that. That's all I'm trying to do here, is help you think of different ways that you can make this pattern business stuff work for you. This all started, I guess, 2 weeks ago. It's been sort of like a mounting problem. It's been getting worse and worse. I have some magazine holders. They are cardboard, they are cheap. They came from IKEA, a pack of 5 for like $1 about 20 years ago. I am not joking on that timeline. And I'm gonna hold something up 1 second while I rustle. It's one of those like cardboard boxes where if this is where this is gonna stand up inside, the box comes like around here. So part of your folder or your patterns are gonna stick up so that you can easily grab them. Easily, she says with her air quotes. The reason I get out my fingers is because you can't browse it, right? I had a magazine holder full of patterns I have stitched and a magazine folder full of patterns I have not stitched. And I couldn't paw through them to see what was in them ever. So if I wanted to check something out, I had to get all of the patterns out. They were not in any sort of order. Maybe I could have put them in a better order. I don't know. They still wouldn't have been browsable in the magazine holder. And spread them out. Wasn't there this? It wasn't great. I have only double purchased one pattern. I have since gifted my second one to my sister. I wanted to make sure I wasn't doing that anymore. And so I thought, okay, this pattern storage system is no longer working. What can I do? If you guys watched a few months back, you know that I got a dresser, and I thought, well, maybe I could put it in the dresser, and realistically that just doesn't work because my patterns would have had to lay flat. Again, you can't paw through them. And so I started looking at like accordion file folders, and I'm talking about those temporary things where like let me get out. So glad she sent me this folder so I'd have something to hold up. It has like a little piece of elastic that comes over the top with a button right here, and you can lift the top up and then it sort of like folds open and you can slide things inside, right? I thought about that. Where am I gonna put it? I thought about, okay, do I invest in like a 2-drawer file drawer? That way I can put in hanging file folders. And then I had the thought, hey, I have this toy box from when I was a kid. I actually use it as a coffee table. But I could lift the lid up on it and store things inside. That's where I originally started with my cross stitch storage before I had very much of it, as I just kept it all in the toy box. So that was a choice, but by the time I bought the wire hanging file thing, you like hang the files inside of this wire doolally, I would have had to browse them from the side instead of from the front. And it just like all signs pointed to no on everything I was exploring. And they were expensive. Office supplies are just expensive by nature. And I was like, yeah, I can come up with a $30 or a $50 solution, but I don't love it. And I don't want to spend $30 or $50 on something that I'm not like, oh my God, it's going to solve all my problems. I love it so much. No. So then I started thinking, I really have been enjoying stitching from my iPad. I say stitching from my iPad. I stitch from my cell phone equally as much. Do people say cell phone still? I don't know. So then it occurred to me, like, maybe now is the time for me to make the jump to digital and just digitize all my patterns and start using them that way. And so that's what I've done. I now have a fully digital library. I'm going to be posting my paper patterns on the D-Stash group. If you guys are interested in doing a YouTube D-Stash, we can do that, where I'll just hold them up and tell you what they are and how much they cost, and you can comment, and the first person who comments and pays their invoice gets it. Y'all are my faves, so if y'all are interested, I would much rather do that than some random person I've never met on the D-Stash group. But if y'all are like not interested, that's fine too. It won't hurt my feelings. Okay, so that's how I decided to stop with the paper and start going digital. The second thing I wanted to look at was technology. So I did a bit of upfront work to figure out how am I going to organize my patterns, and then how am I going to use my patterns. And essentially, I've decided to just organize them using an Excel spreadsheet. I'll talk to you a little bit about it later. Excuse me. I did want to talk to you a little bit about Markup XP or RXP up front. I'm going to talk to you about it, and then we're not going to talk about it again. So I did a lot of research around Markup RXP. If you're not familiar, it is a cross-stitch app. It is available on both Apple and Android. It has a 2-week free trial period, which I think is amazing. Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch also did what I believe is an incredible review on it. I will link it for you if you're interested in watching that and learning more about the app. I think it's important for you to remember that I design and build software for a living. So my feelings about software are going to be a little bit different than probably most everybody else's. The pros for me on the things that it's great is that they give you a 2-week free trial. We're all busy people, and most of us, I know a lot of you guys are retired, but for those of us that have jobs, we might get to stitch an hour or two in the evening, but we really need a lot of time in order to our schedules to permit the exposure to the app for us to decide if it's worth it. You can't figure it out in an hour or two. You're going to need some time. So I appreciate that they really give you a 2-week window on that. I think that's fantastic. The other thing is it gives you a ton of statistics. It tells you how many how many X's you have stitched on your current project, how many X's you have left in the project, your total stitching time, your percentage complete, like every nerdy fact you could ever want to know about your project, it will tell you that. And I think it's super cool that it does that. When you import all of your pages, so whether you download your PDF pattern or if you scan the individual pages in, you load them into Markup XP, you answer some questions about like which pages you're key on, and then it will stitch pages together for you. And I think that's amazing, because my number one complaint about Dasher and Dancer is that trying to figure out the overlap of pages, it can really cause some wrong stitching. Ask me how I know this. So I have come to value that whole page stitching thing, and it will do it for you. The cons for me are the way that it does that, the way that it asks you those questions. I find it to be very clunky. I also find the user interface to be, I'm going to use strong language, really repulsive. It's pink and it's purple and it's really clunky, and it looks like it was designed for a 13-year-old girl or maybe somebody younger. I don't have kids. I don't know who's into Barbie, but it looks like Barbie threw up on it to me personally. Again, I design software for a living, so take that with a grain of salt. I really hate that it's $20 a year. Personally, I hate for other people to have control of my stuff. So if something has to live in the cloud, for example, software that I use at work, everything is based in the cloud. I do not have a file on my computer ever. And I don't like that, because if my internet goes down, I can't get to it. That's gross. Now, Markup RXP is different. It's not that your file necessarily lives in their system, although, to be fair, it might. My point is, if I go through and I put all of my patterns into Markup RXP and I'm paying you $20 a year, and 3 years from now I decide I don't like it anymore, then I have put a ton of time and effort and energy into using a system that basically all that work is for nothing, because I'm not going to be using it anymore, right? So I wanted a system that for me, I knew would kind of stand the test of time and not be dependent upon a particular application in general. So those are kind of my feelings about the app. The apps I'm going to talk to you about, the ones that I use for stitching, are native to the iPad. They cost no money. But I wanted to let you know that I looked at it. It's not for me. It might be for you. I encourage you to watch her video, Elizabeth Ann's video. She does a great job. I can see why a lot of people like it. I just don't. It's not for me. What is working for me is using the Apple ecosystem. So I use a Mac for my personal computer, I use an iPad, and then I have an iPhone. I'm sure that you could figure out a way for all of this to work on a PC and Android. I'm not going to be the person who can tell you how to do that because I don't know anything about it. And I do use iCloud. So iCloud by default comes with, I believe, 5 gigs of storage, just right off the bat. And then I think you get 2. I pay for iCloud backup because I always think if something happens to my house, I want to make sure that, the true story, I want to make sure all of my pictures of my dogs are backed up. That's why I use iCloud. So you can get 2 terabytes of space for $10 a month, which is just absurd. And I don't know who's ever going to use that much space in their lifetime. They might have smaller plans. I don't know. I'm just letting you know, again, this is what I use. So I started by taking all of my paper patterns into my computer. I have a Brother printer and scanner, and the scanning software that comes with my printer, you scan a page and you say add page, you scan the second page, and you just keep clicking the add page button, and it puts all of the pages for the pattern together. And then I can say save, and I can save it as an image, or I can save it as a PDF. I have decided to save all of my patterns as PDFs so that all of the pages for a particular pattern are together. You don't have to do it that way. You could take a picture with your phone and work from it that way. You could take a picture of the pattern with your cell phone and work from the pattern digitally. It doesn't have to be this fancy. You don't have to make it as complicated as I did. Again, this is what I did. So I scanned in all of the paper patterns, and then I put them in the closet, and I was like, gosh, I'm glad that's over with. Then I went through all of the paper patterns, and I was like next level neurotic. Again, this is what I do professionally. So having things crooked or not cropped properly, it feels sloppy to me. So I did spend some time going through. I use Adobe Acrobat, not Acrobat Reader. So Acrobat Reader is what you use to view PDFs. Adobe Acrobat is an actual PDF editing tool that comes in the Adobe suite. So I used Acrobat to flip pages around and crop them nicely and kind of tidy up what I had to work with. And then I took my multi-page PDFs and I put them in Photoshop, and I layered my pages together so that I could put all of the pages, same thing that Markup XP does for you. I put all the pages together into one big pattern. So now in every single one of my PDFs, which I can't show you because it would lead to copyright infringement, I'm so sorry, you would see the page pattern, like the picture that's on the cover, you would see the key, and then you see the full size chart if it's got multi-pages, and then you see the individual pages. Hey, Emily, if you're going to do this from a PDF, why the heck did you keep all the individual pages? Well, because there might be a day when I want to print them. And so I wanted to make sure that I kept the copies intact of the individual pages. So I kind of think of it as cover page, key page, the iPad version, and then the individual pages that are printable. It's just how I decided to set mine up. So after I had cleaned up all my PDFs, then I sorted them into folders by designer. You could do it a lot of ways. You could do it by theme, like all your patriotic patterns together, all your Christmas patterns together, all your spring patterns together. It just, for me, I have almost 250 patterns, but I am familiar with them enough that designer made the most sense to me. I kind of know, like, oh, I'm looking for that one, and I know who designs it, so that just works for my mental model. So I got them all organized, and all of those are saved into my iCloud drive. So now I can go to my iCloud drive, and I will show you how I do that in a little bit. I can go into my iCloud drive, I can navigate to my folder, I can go to my individual list of designers, I can pick the designer, and then I can find the file I need and I can open it up. That gives me access to all of my patterns. That was kind of step one. Step two was for me to come up with kind of an inventory list. Hey, Emily, why do you need an inventory list? Well, because I'm crazy. I currently keep a Word document of all the patterns I have stitched, of their stitched count, who I stitched it for, when I started it, when I finished it, if I used the called for floss, what my fabric was, all that stuff, because I intend to make backup. My dad painted recreationally, and he has a folder where, now he was painting in the 60s and 70s, right? So it was not fancy. But he took a photo of every painting he painted. He put the dimensions of the painting, when he painted it, what it was called, and who he sold it to. And I thought it was exceptional for years later him to have sort of this like body of work that he could look back on. And so I want to do the same thing with my stitching, because maybe I won't keep some of these things forever, or maybe I just want to have a log of it. Who knows? But I know that if I don't start with that information now, in 20 years, I'm never going to go back and find the information for this. So I am currently collecting it. And my thinking is that I will make probably a chat book. Emily, what's a chat book? Chat book is, they are printed and bound books, basically made of whatever the heck you want. You upload your photos, you upload the information, and they just print it and ship it to you. I think that they do the same thing now with like Shutterfly. So I'm sure that there are a lot of other retailers that do it. There's a lady I know online and she uses Chatbooks, and I was like, great, I'll use Chatbooks too. I would like to reserve the right to change that retailer in a later date and time, but for now, that's kind of my plan. So part of this inventory is to help me keep track of what I've stitched, what I haven't stitched, and what's next. So my Excel file, and I'll show it to you, my Excel file talks about, it's got the pattern name, the designer, whether it is stitched, it's a yes or no. If I've stitched it, what's the start date, what's the end date, what's the stitch width, what's the stitch height, what theme it is, so like Christmas or patriotic or spring or whatever, and then my current level of interest in it, and I just did high, medium, low, to kind of help me like sort through this list at some point. And then finally I have a notes column. So for example, I bought, I think, a fat half of vintage country mocha, and when I figured out, like, back up, when I decided that I wanted to buy it, I had figured out the different things I wanted to stitch on it. So I went through next to those patterns and I made a note, like vintage country mocha is what I'm using for this. That way I'll remember kind of what I had planned, because I make plans and then sometimes those things go into a backlog and I don't get around to it for a while. So I just need the memory jog of kind of what those plans were. So that's why I have that notes column. So now that it's set up in Excel, I can go in and say, just show me my high priority projects. And then I've got like 20. Instead of 250, I've got like 20, right? And I can start to make decisions now on, okay, what do I want to stitch next? Or what do I want to prioritize for next year? Or whatever. So again, high, medium, low is just to sort of help me earmark what I want to work on. Nobody has to do it this way. Again, it's what works for me. I did kind of go one step further with this, and there's a free application. It's called Airtable, Airtable. It's called Airtable. And after you create, I'm sure that you could create things individually in this program. It is a project management tool. It is not meant for crafters. It's not that difficult to figure out. It's not terribly intuitive either, but whatever. I took my Excel file, I saved it as a CSV file. Those are comma separated values is what that means for those of you who aren't nerds. Save your Excel as a CSV, you upload it into Airtable, and Airtable converts it into its own table structure. And then you can say, hey, instead of showing me table rows, show me these cards. So after it converts everything to cards, you can go in and upload the file. This is kind of cool because now I have a Pinterest-like board that shows me a picture of the pattern that I'm going to be stitching and kind of gives me a high-level overview of what it is. So if I didn't remember exactly what my pattern looked like, or I just wanted to browse my patterns, this would be a great way for me to do that. It just felt like an unnecessary next step for me. It's not intuitive for me to go to Airtable. I didn't want to have an extra app on my cell phone. really the only time I'm going to be referencing my inventory on my cell phone or on my iPad is just, hey, do I already own that pattern? Because otherwise I'm going to buy it from wherever. Like, you know, nobody likes for their patterns to travel alone or their order items to travel alone. So a lot of times we'll go to order something and we will tack on something else. So I just didn't see myself using Airtable for that need. It felt easier for me to pull up the file on my iPad, just using the native application that it displays in. So let me show you a little bit more now about how I actually use my iPad. It's going to be the exact same on my iPad or on my iPhone, and I'm just going to kind of show you the steps I go through to get to my PDFs or my files and then to use them. First, I go to Files. Files is the name of the application on my iPad. I go to Files, then I navigate to the iCloud Drive because I have saved everything in the iCloud Drive. Then I navigate to my folder of patterns. I find the designer I want, and then I find the pattern I want. And today I'm going to show you a pattern from Hands On Design because Kathy does an anniversary pattern for Bill every year. These are free patterns, so there's no copyright infringement or anything like that on this. Now, when I open it, I can zoom in and zoom out just by pinching. I can pan around. And this is what I really love about iPad stitching. I can make the pattern as big as I want or as big as I need. I don't have to squint. I think it's fantastic. The biggest complaint I hear from people about stitching on an iPad is I can't hold my place, or I can't figure out where I was or what I've done because you guys use those line markers, which I totally understand. Some of you use highlighters. I get it. So if I'm going to mark a PDF, I don't usually mark my simpler PDFs. Like, I'm not marking the PDF for Plum Street Samplers stars because it's a lot of fill in. I don't feel like I really need to mark that as much. But if I had, like, I didn't digitize Dasher and Dancer because I'm already, knee deep in it. But if I had started with Dasher and Dancer on an iPad, I definitely, I would want to make a copy of the chart if I'm going to mark on it. And I want to do that because I might make a note to myself, I might type on it, but I also might just want a clean copy to go back to. So you can do that on your devices. You can just create a copy. So I always start by creating a copy, and then I'll open the copy. Sometimes I'll rename it, like for iPad or working copy or whatever. And then I'll tap this little pencil icon. And then after I tap the pencil, I have a lot of choices. I could use the highlighter. I, in particular, like to use the marker tool. You can change the weight of the marker. You can change the color of the marker. You can change the transparency of the marker. So you have a lot of flexibility here. And then whenever I have stitched something, I just mark it out. If I've done it, if it's stitched, I just mark it out. So instead of going stitch by stitch, because that would be maddening, to draw a line, you basically put your finger down, draw the line across, and hold it in place. And when you hold the line in place, it'll go from being a wobbly line, like you're drunk at the club, to being a straight line. So that helps keep the pattern a little bit tidier, and I like that a lot. Sometimes if I've done a whole area, I will just circle the area. Again, I just draw a circle with my finger. I hold it at the end and it snaps to a perfect circle. And you can also draw a square. So same thing, start at one corner, go around all four sides, hold your finger at the end, and it's going to snap into place. So those are just a couple of different ways that you can mark on the PDF. When you click done at the top corner, that saves it. Then you can come back at any time. Your edits are still there. If you ever need to update it, no big deal. There's an eraser here. You can erase things that you've done in the past. So these are tools that are built into your iPad and your iPhone, cost no money. And for me, I really like it because I always have it on all of my devices. I don't have to pay a yearly fee, and then I don't feel pressured by stats. I know that sounds really crazy, but sometimes when I attach a number to something, it puts pressure. So what comes to mind most readily is a Fitbit. Fitbits were a huge, I mean, I know a ton of people are still wearing them, and I know a lot of people track their steps on their Apple Watches. I cannot track my steps because if I will try to one up myself, like, okay, you're supposed to walk 10,000 steps a day. Well, if I walk 10,000, 11,000 would be better. And if I walk 11,000, 12,000 would be better. It got to a point where I was walking over 15,000 steps a day every day. And that's basically all I ever did was just walk, because it became a numbers game, not because I thought it was a great idea or I was loving it. I let the numbers get away from me. So cross stitching is my hobby. I want to keep it just really fun and light, and I don't want to attach the statistics to it. I don't care how fast I'm going. I don't care how many I've stitched. I don't want to be depressed by how many I have to go. So for me, I like not having the statistics, which is interesting because I usually really geek out on numbers. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. I know it was a lot of information. As I was talking kind of in the beginning, I thought, oh my God, I'm going through this really quickly. But if I go through this slowly, we'll be here for like an hour and a half, and ain't nobody got time for that. So I just wanted to show you, what worked for me, give you some ideas of what might work for you. If you have any questions, I will be happy to try to answer them. If you have a PC, I'm probably not going to be able to help you very much. I don't use a PC. I used to only use a PC, and when I would touch a Mac, I would be like, I don't even know what's happening here. And now that's how I feel about PCs. I don't know what to do with them, and so I'm not very knowledgeable about them. But if you have questions or need some ideas, I will be happy to answer questions in the comments below, or that you can always DM me over on Instagram. That's fine too. I just wanted to expose you guys a little bit to it because a lot of you were really interested in how I'm doing it and making that leap over to digital. So the closet is getting clean, and my patterns are with me all the time, and it's fun. I think it will be easy to maintain now that I've kind of got everything set up. Now we're just kind of in maintenance mode, right? So every time I get a new pattern, I'm going to have to be in the habit of, first of all, if I can buy a digital pattern, that will be my choice moving forward. But if I can't buy digital pattern, if it's got to be paper, so like this new paper from Hands On Design, take it straight to the scanner, scan it in, put it in my inventory list, and that's just going to have to become a bit of a habit in order to make the system work. That's really what the success of the system depends on now, is my dedication to keeping it updated. So that was my stitching adjacent video for you today. I hope it was helpful. I hope it gave you some ideas. I'm kind of at a loss because usually I'm like, and next time we're going to talk about blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't know what we're talking about next time, because I really didn't intend to talk about this. That's not true. Next time I'm going to show you Hometown Holiday. So the first piece I showed you guys was the pet shop from Hometown Holiday, and I hadn't fully finished it. So one of the things I wanted to give a try was Diane was working on some different finishes. She started with things on a foam block, and then she went to sort of like a flat finish on a tag, and then she went to, I think, a bifold stand-up. Doesn't this make sense? So she went through a couple of different choices, and I thought, I really want to try that foam technique. So I tried it. I'm waiting on an additional finishing item to come in, so I will get that wrapped up, and that way when we talk next time, I can show it to you, talk to you a little bit about that, what I liked, what I didn't like. I still need to finish a couple of other things and share those with you as well. But I thought, since I'm in a bit of a lull, I'm working fast and furiously on Dasher and Dancer. When we meet next time, August will be finished, way ahead of schedule. I was talking to somebody, gosh, I can't even remember, maybe Lizzie, on Instagram, and we were both saying, like, if I ever put this down again, I'm never gonna pick it up. So like, I'm afraid to quit with it. I'm trying to just like push through to the end here with Dasher and Dancer. But I'll have August finished to share with you. I'm still working on Plum Street's stars, and that's making good progress. If you want to follow along on Instagram, I've been posting pretty regularly in the evening, just for my own amusement, really. I'm posting on stories. Like last night I posted the before when I started and the after when I finished, and said this was 1 hour and 4 strands worth of work. And I think that that's interesting, because sometimes we look down and we're like, man, I've been working on this forever and I don't feel like I've done anything. So it's sort of like an instant gratification of, oh yeah, I really did accomplish something in just an hour's time. So if you're interested in following along, have at it. But I'm working on that. So we'll talk about the fully finished item, and I'll have those whips for you next time. Until then, talk to you later. Love you, bye.